Hi, welcome to your brown bag sample speech. Before I actually go into a sample speech, I just want to take a few minutes and talk to you about some tips for recording your speeches. First of all, I don't care if you decide to sit down as I am or stand up during your speeches. I want to make sure I have a nice headshot of you, probably with at least your shoulders and again, just a nice view of you. I will look for gestures, so I want to make sure that you are able to raise up your hands and make some motions. So just double check that. If you prefer to stand and have the camera a little further away, that's fine, but it's not actually a requirement. So just so you know that. The other thing is, you know that you need to have at least 4 grown-ups there for your presentations as audience members. And I emphasize the grown-ups because inevitably someone wants to use a small child. And while children are welcome, it's not, again, going to be able to suffice. So how do you handle the audience members? Well, I've seen 2 things work just fine. I've seen students where they say something like, first of all, here's my audience, and people will actually have the audience members walk behind them. So essentially the student stays still, usually in a chair, and the audience will sort of walk past the camera so that I can kind of verify that the audience is there. The other thing I've seen people do is actually physically pick up the camera and turn the camera to look at the audience. There's my audience members right there. And yes, you can see I have small children. Those are not my playthings. So I'm going to try to readjust the camera. And then we'll go on from our speech. So essentially, those are 2 things I wanted to make sure that you understood. Make sure that, again, you keep in mind that the camera is your audience. And whether your live audience is sitting behind you and can actually see you, or whether they're sitting ahead of you, that's actually what I would promote. Keep in mind that the camera is what you should be facing. Okay, so I think I have all my equipment available. Let me go ahead and begin my brown bag sample speech. So pretend I'm a student, okay? Good morning. I'm happy to talk to you about a few things that really are indicative of who I am. I think one way to get to know a person is to take a look at some of the items that they surround themselves with, and you can get a glimpse into their lives. So today I've brought for you 3 things to talk a little bit about who is Tammy. They are a soccer ball, a book, and a garden trowel. So let me start with the soccer ball. I just frankly have a lot of soccer balls around the house. I just happened to grab one that was nearby. Now, obviously, this is simply a ball, and perhaps the presumption is that I play soccer myself, and I do not. Frankly, I don't have a lot of skill when it comes to that. But I have 3 kids, and all 3 of them play soccer. So soccer to me, and this ball, frankly, represents my family. It represents something that we spend a lot of time doing. My husband and I, of course, on the sidelines spectating, and my kids at various levels playing the game. But I've come to really appreciate not just soccer, but really team things in general. I think that being part of a team helps kids to understand a lot of things, like winning and losing graciously and all those kinds of things. So my kids are, Nicholas is age 14, Joy is age 12, and Will is age 10. And soccer has been a huge part of their lives growing up as they continue to grow. And I'm sure it will be a big part of my husband and I too, as we continue to watch them grow as children and young adults and eventually as they get older too. So soccer actually the soccer ball represents my family to me. All right, the next thing is a book. Now, the one I happen to grab is by John Sandford. It's Winter Prey. But this really could be any number of murder mystery books. And I know that says something probably a little twisted about my personality, that I love murder mysteries. But the truth is I do. I love when the protagonist is either maybe a lawyer or a cop or something like that trying to solve crimes. For some reason, those just fascinate me. And I really do spend a lot of free time, if I have it, being able to do some reading. I usually go to the library and get my books. I don't often buy books, but I just find it a neat little way to escape. Reading is one of those great hobbies that you can almost do anywhere, and I just find it to be a lot of fun. So Sandford is one of my favorite authors, but there's a lot of different ones I could choose from, and I just really love the escapism, I guess. If I'm having Tammy time, this is probably one thing I'll be doing is reading. My last item is a garden trowel. One of the things that I absolutely love about my job as a teacher is that I have my summers off. Well, sort of off. I sometimes teach online classes. But when I have free time during the summer, I do love to garden. And I'm not necessarily that great at it. But I guess there's something about just being able to literally get your hands dirty. Obviously, during the school year, I don't do things with my hands as often. And I just find something a little bit therapeutic about being able to dig around in the dirt and then being able to plant something and watch it grow and kind of nourish it to be able to grow up. And obviously, I do a little bit of that with my kids too. But there's something about a garden that I just find very cheery, very relaxing, and well, like I said, kind of therapeutic. So those are my 3 items. I had a soccer ball and a book and a garden trowel. And I hope you know a little bit more about me, a little bit more about what I like to do in my free time, a little bit about my family, and some of the things that are important to me. So thank you. Okay, there was a sample speech. Now, to be honest, I didn't time the speech, but I'm going to guess it was about 3 minutes long, and that's a good barometer for about how long yours should be. But to be honest, I'm not going to time this speech, so don't worry about it if it's a little bit on the shorter side or a little bit on the longer side. The main thing is that you take your objects and thoroughly explain how they represent something that's important to you. So good luck. I look forward to listening to them.